So I wanna talk about Noble Jew Ali, his intentions, his mind state, the instructions he left behind, organization, what he brought to the table, and as always, like every week, how to be a polished ambassador. History, law. The people gonna have questions. People heard about this Moorish space in a lot of different lenses, in a lot of different arenas. There's people that heard about Noble Jew Ali, but maybe they got half the story. So we just want to know the full context of his full intention. And keep in mind, if people that come across the Moorish Science Temple of America and get introduced to it in different bodies, different ideologies of Moors. So it's imperative that as an ambassador, Khalifa Society, that we given a world universal uh, on point view of really what Moorish science is about. Nationality, birthrights, unification, morality, knowing your culture, setting things up for your prosperity, leaving an estate behind on a micro level and a macro level. When I say macro, I'm talking about community estates, businesses that are created amongst the community. And then on your small family level, you have a trust, you have businesses, and you're passing these things down to your whoever you want your beneficiary to be, but typically your offspring, right? So you can make sure your legacy lives on, because the flesh is going to be temporary, but what lives on? Books, music, recordings of lectures. Your impact can live on. Your great work can live on. Your businesses that keep being ran. These are ideas that you came up with maybe 1,000 years ago. Your son kept it going. An idea that you came up with, right? So all this is related. Uh, Let me greet who everybody that came in right here. Brother Shaolin Bay, peace and love, brother. Good to see you, man.
Peace and love. Good to see you too. Islam Moors.
Wow.
Peace and love.
More.
CJ, CJ the Prince, peace and love, man. Good to see you in here, man.
Peace and love, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love, CJ.
Peace and love.
Let me check the chat before I get started. Oh, peace and love, brother Brian. So before I went on my rant about the trust in the state, topic is Noble Jew Ali, and it's a review in a sense, but I'm glad the brother CJ and Shalom tapped in. I think this would be a good space to get acclimated as it pertains to Noble Jew Ali. It's just for information, just to know. So I have always found it troubling to see and recognize that many sincere and or seriously interested natural persons have displayed an air of delusionment, confusion, or misunderstandings concerning the direction and purpose of the Moorish Divine National Movement. It must be emphasized to all people who receive Moorish cultural class instruction that Noble Jew Ali was a universal prophet. Because Noble Jew Ali is a universal prophet, public airing of his literature and message is directed to the people of North America at large, and not just to the fallen Moors, his people. Prophet Noble Jew Ali made a firm and compelling plea to the nation and presented to us the specific grand principle of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Upon making this historically famous plea, the prophet addressed the people, qualifying their loyalty. This is a specific order in which he, the prophet, clearly addressed three specific bodies of the people who make up the citizenry and or body politic of North America. 1. All loyal, faithful Moors. 2. Members, nationality card holding members of the temples. 3. American citizens. Remember that the prophet directed his call to the above mentioned peoples in the public arena. Look at the order or sequence in which those he addressed is placed. Do not allow anyone to try to convince you or your children or offspring that the prophet did not address the above said peoples. Let no one without a challenge try to imply in any way that any of the above statements, persons have no right to possess the prophet's literature or writings, or that they cannot or should not talk about it, analyze, or discuss those things which our prophet brought to us. If anyone has any doubt to the correctness of what I have just said, then go to the prophet's own words, which are written in his Moorish literature booklet, under the editorial, A Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations. It is upon this document that the Moors' Order of the Round Table bases its origin and purpose. This is why I have set about the task of producing literature to counter the subversives amongst us. It is not personal. It is for the nations and the Moorish Divine National Movement. So it's imperative that, we get this information, the principles of what this movement is really about. That's why me personally, I read the Divine Warning before we start the meeting, because it sets the tone to what Noble Drew Ali's mind state is in a nice composition, right? He's talking about national principles. He's talking about go to City Hall with an intelligent tone. He's talking about the 14th and 15th Amendment. It's not a recipe for our people. We don't need that for the salvation of our people, right? So if he's talking like that, he's talking nationality, he's talking culture, he's talking ancient mind state, he's talking empire, he's talking when we had sultans, he's talking about the indigenous culture. So the reason I'm bringing this up, some people, like I said earlier, get introduced to the Moorish science and the more cookie cutter, just Moorish science, simple religion, Noble Drew Ali. Because some people think Noble Drew Ali created Moors or the Moorish American. Like, it's very narrow-minded. We want to just comprehend what he brought and reminded our people that were asleep, their illustrious culture. And he did it in a way that when you look back, that's prophethood status. The level of how he did it. The social, spiritual, and political proper person concepts and proper conduct initiatives which the prophet encouraged the people to act upon must be made common public information and should be readily available in every public library and on display in any of the various bookstores. However, history and the records show that a few subversive persons deceitfully presented themselves as honorable and sincere members within the Moorish temples, and thereby successfully gained positions of authority and power within the Moorish movement. Some of these traitorous, disingenuous, and selfish persons set about their work in intent of slowing down or neutralizing the Moorish national movement. So once it went from international scope, it got reduced to like religion, as if Muslim, Christian, like the Moorish Science Temple, that's like some black Muslims, like the Nation of Islam. Once it got reduced to that, they felt like, oh yeah, we won. That was the whole point of them sending COINTELPRO, CIA, FBI, but how they do it is they send your own people. right? So it looked like our people, but you know, they work for somebody else. And slowly but surely, you have people that get confused on, oh, this person said this. This person said this about the movement. That person said this. What is this Morris thing about? That was the whole point, is to create confusion. So now the people don't want to deal with this and unite behind this. Right. So we must understand what we're dealing with, head on a swivel, and be grounded on the multiple layers of the information in the Morris science and what this is really about. Brother Hassan, peace and love, man. How you feeling, man? Um, Upon analyzing Moorish literature and information, the oral and written words of many honorable sheiks and sheikesses, the limited records made available by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, a pattern of negative intent and actions can easily be discerned and recognized. The following are a few of those recognizable acts or actions, which are derivative of the above said patterns of negative intent. So let's go read a couple of them. Any and all attempts made at neutralizing the Prophet Nubuju Ali or his literature by way of suppression of this exposure of his pleas, messages, and literature, as it was all directed to all loyal, faithful Moors and to the people at large. The artificially injected divisions and schisms presently existed among Moorish holy temples of science, the Moorish Science Temples of America, and the Moorish Divine National Movement, and all its manifest branch institutions. The false claim that Moors do not vote in the national elections qualified in their proper person status. So let's go into that. I'm highlighting things that you're going to come across by just people. I'm talking about common people. I'm talking about people that's in the Moorish space, but they're not active, but they just want to interrogate you. So like all type of stuff. But it's in public though, so you're gonna have to like stay in your square. Because what happens is, especially if you got the Fed turban on, you're always gonna have to come off with a sound mind, even if the person is like trying to say something in a way to be like, "Oh, you're wrong" or whatever. They're trying to catch you on something. You know, if you don't know something, just don't speak because people got motives out here. We want to make the Moorish movement look good at all times, no matter what people's intention is or how they coming at you. You just need to respond as the noble with intelligence. But what are schisms? Well, I mentioned schisms. So schisms is like what I alluded to earlier. One temples is saying this. Because for example, it's temples that when they issue nationality cards, they say, you are now a USA citizen. But that's a conflict with, wait, national government. If in divine warning, Noble at least saying national government, 14th to 15th Amendment is not necessary for the salvation of our people. Why would we say USA citizen? The 14th Amendment is what makes you a USA citizen. And then Noble Joe Ali saying that's not necessary for the salvation of our people. That's a clash, right? So that's why we have the measuring stick out. That's an example of what I mean. That creates a schism. Because if you fresh, you're like, oh, this is more science simple. I'm gonna go in there, see what's going on. Oh, this is what I got introduced to. Oh, a year later, I run across some other Moors from Khalifa Society or wherever, Canaan land, or some Moors that mess with a seer or whoever, whatever, and it's a little different. They coming from a different perspective. What's really the real? That's the point of a schism, to have the people hesitant on dealing with this at all, right? Oh, peace and love for everybody that came in, brother. I mean, Tazamaji L, Hanuna.
Peace and love, everyone.
Islam.
Because everybody.
Love and peace, Morris.
So that's a
Islam,
schism.
peace and love.
Peace and love, peace and love.
Peace and love.
So that's what a schism is. Instituted by these people, Federal Bureau of Investigation. All right. So let's continue here. Oh, that's what I wanted to address. The false claim that Moors do not vote in the national election qualified and in their proper person status. The reason that's in there, during Noble Ali's tenure, we went over this before. In that picture, the big group picture, that was a national convention. In that group picture, you had Oscar the Priest, which was basically a Republican congressman, but Noble Joe Ali and Noble Joe Ali's constituents, which are i.e. the members of the temples collectively, all the branches, put Noble Joe Ali in office when he was a mayor, right? And that began his political journey, Oscar the Priest. So it was enough Moors in one area in the municipality doing business at Chicago. It was Moors. Most of the people, human beings, were Moors, living together 5-6 days out the week, not just on Sunday coming together. It was a community. It was Little Morocco. Chicago was Little Morocco. It was enough people to vote a mayor in Chicago because all the Moors in that area, the Moors in that area was 60% and 70% of Chicago. Right. So the mayor was working for the Moors. Right. Made sure it was constitutional law going on, jurisprudence, treaty law. So that's the qualification of, what do you mean? Moors voting? Why would the Moors vote in the U.S.? It's context. Because especially on the mayor level, you're talking about domestic, local operations. Most of the time, that's why I would bring up the Chinatown, Koreatown, like Little Saigon, to Garden Grove, Fountain Valley, Anaheim. So many Vietnamese people where they're starting to be into politics, and the politics is politicians is going to make sure the Vietnamese people they living good and it's favorable because they got bloodline ties. That's an example in modern day, right? Because we are colonized. It ain't like, I mean, we have to interface with these people, but still, unity still trumps, being oppressed. There's levels to this, I should say. You know what I mean? Number 4, the false claim that Moors are not to be civically active. Right? So any bodies that are talking like that, once again, Noble Joe Ali said the 14th and 15th Amendment are not necessary for the salvation of our people. That's called being civically active. Because if he's saying that, he's saying the citizenship of the United States. We can't be that. We have treaties. It spells out. or historical activity on the lands of America. It spells out how to interface with the United States via a treaty. That's why you got Article 6 of the Constitution is in there, Supremacy Clause. That's to help you interface with nations the United States got treaties with. And that actually supersedes the actual Constitution itself. So if temples aren't talking like that, that means they're not participating in civics, which is an instruction, right? If you're not, right? So they're not following instructions, but they got no Ali big in the temple, as if they are listening to the man. So once you know these things will stand out to you. Now keep all these things in mind. How I approach it, it may be members in these temples that hear the information that we talking about and be like, hold on, they do their own measuring stick. Come holler at you on the side, like, bro, and this has happened. This has happened, right? So as we stay consistent, we can get members from these temples that may have been contaminated and still get an alliance going, right? They just didn't know better. They finally got some information that's, you know what I mean? Don't got to sell into it. So it's levels to this. You know, you don't got to just, oh, that temple corrupted, all the members is bad. We ain't messing with them Moors. You can't do that. We just need to know where it's at. Yes, we need to know the error, but still, it's people with good intentions. You know what I mean? So we got to use discernment on this unification mission. Where we leave off here. The false claim that Moors are not to study and to act on the national constitution of and for the governance of the United States and for the governance of the United States Republic, North America, which was prepared for all free national beings. The false claim that Moors are not part of this said government, i.e. the United States Republic of North America. 7, the lack of refined instruction on and about the social political effects concerning the truth about the theft of and the suppression of the Moorish nationality and the birthright issues, etc. So what does that mean? If you're not being aware of how things got to this position, different wars, different treaties, right, papal bulls, right, because you need to know, you just know your history. That's the bottom line. So once again, there's some temples that don't go into history like that. They just keep it Moorish American. Noble Ali brought Moorish American. That Sultan and Empire stuff, we're not dealing with that. That's not what Noble Ali brought. We're not dealing with treaties. Noble Ali didn't bring that. We're not dealing with the empire. We're not dealing with Moors that was all over the world. That's a different type of Moor. Moorish American is temples that do that, right? And that creates a division. Even though this is the age of Aquarius and the information gonna get out, and the heads of the temples need to stop acting like that because the information is gonna come back, and now it's gonna be like, how come you giving me half this information? They all members are gonna come like that, just universal principle, right? So, but yeah, we just need to know where it's at. That's the whole point of why we're talking about this space, is to know where it's at, so we can spot things when we see it in the future, right? Even the flag, you're gonna go on some temple where they got the Star Spangled Banner on the left, Moorish flag on the right. That's not international law. The home team is always on the left. These are just small examples. But if you see these things, so you ain't gotta say nothing. Just observe. Observe. You know? Just observe. Number 7. No, I think it's number 8. The lack of recorded documents and accountability to Moors concerning the collection of, the accountability to the people for, and the proper dispensation and spending of the people's finances. The lack of study, analysis, and truth about the legal and or lawful implications concerning the alterations of words of a document or the deletion of words in or from any established constitution or law or legal document. Note should be taken that the Divine Constitution document of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, as presented to the Moors from Noble Jew Ali, our prophet, was altered by someone within the movement. Take note of an important and often overlooked alteration, which was made at least 3 times within the Divine Constitution document, which alters its meaning and purpose. So what we're talking about, this document right here, let me bring up the full document, and then we can go back and forth. So this is the document right here, the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. In this document, when you go to Article 7, that might be Article 6. It's the part and partial thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government. Now, when we deal with parcel, we're talking about land title, parcels of land. In our case, our ancestral estate will be the land of the Americas. The people loosely referred to as Indian, who are actually Moors, different tribes of Moors, right? So we have an estate. When you claim your nationality with organization bearing fruits of that organization, businesses, structure, economics, trade, everybody living together, creating a district. It's clear today, like, oh, all the Moors is over there. Now it's time to do what? Put all these businesses in trust, creating an estate. Any unincorporated land, the temple owns it. Organization owns it. The people own it. We keep it maintained, right? Within the community. Parcel. All this has to do with parcel. Now, let's go back to the reading. Now that we all seen that document. So, my next point was some temples it says partial. That's my point. That's my main point. Parcel will not be there. Let's say partial. You are part and partial of the government. You're going to go to a lot of temples where it's not saying this, parcel. It's going to say partial. That's the main point. So the origin of the Divine Constitution of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science states the legal term part and parcel. The altered Divine Constitution of the Moorish Science Temple of America reads part and partial. Do you hear Moors analyzing or discussing the circumstances upon which these obviously serious, yet undressed changes were made? Noble Jew Ali commanded the Moors to study, study, study. Cannot the Moorish Americans read? Why has no one of importance to the Moorish movement point out this flaw of the Moorish national citizenry? Why has no correction been made? Who was protecting the Prophet and the Moorish movement? Will the honorable Moors please stand up? All right. So those were a couple bullet points. Um, I think that's a good, I think that's what I pretty much, me personally, write today at this particular session when it's a highlight. Any thoughts, statements, questions on this space before I transition? Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop because I want to transition into another space. So I was talking about trust. I trust a lot in the first demonstration in a state. That's a question that most people have. They heard about a trust, but they don't know that they can't grasp the dynamic of it. Um, so we'll go into a little bit of that space, fundamentals of that space. 'Cause, it's a pretty simple process. You do have to know certain things, how you want your business to be in order for the future. But that's pretty much it. So, family legacy. The reason we must establish a living trust expressing our will is to avoid probate court. Probate court deals with the validation of wills, but again, it is a ploy and enforcement of Article 22 of the Christian Black Codes of 1724, whereby they divide our estate and tax the heirs out of their inheritance. There is no reason for them to act as a third party to our affairs, i.e., master authority over their slave. Once we establish a trust and our will is expressed, then it is written meaning. It is the law and the last order given to the heirs by the trustee or grantor for the next successor. There is nothing to verify or validate. So trust is how you box out the probate court. Keep your affairs private. The wealth you accumulate in your lifetime, you want to have control on who you're passing that down to with specifics. You don't want it to be in the hands of the probate court officer, the municipal officer. Why do you want your affairs in the hands of the municipal officer? Why would you want that? That makes no sense to me. Probate court, sometimes called a surrogate court, is a court that has jurisdiction via the birth certificate, 14th Amendment. So Noble Joe Ali said the 14th and 15th Amendment is not necessary for the salvation of our people. It started to make sense. Why? And the people's belief in their color of law contracts and the transmitting utilities, as well as the people's ignorance and status to deal with matters of probate and the administration of estates. With reference to escheat, in some jurisdictions, some courts may be referred to as orphans court or courts of ordinary. In some jurisdictions, probate court functions are performed by a chancery court or other court of equity, or as a part or division of another court, all of which are guised as assisting people with the validation of wills, and oftentimes result in the rightful heirs of parent being taxed out of their property by the European administrator because we don't know law, nor do we assert our right of claim to our land. Probate courts, chancery, the use of trickery to achieve a political, financial, or legal purpose, administer the distribution of the assets of a decedent or one who has died, adjudicates the validity of wills, enforces the provisions of a valid will by issuing the grant of probate, prevents malfeasance by executors and administrators of estates, and provides for the equitable distribution of the assets of persons who die intestate or without a will. That's what intestate means. Such as by granting a grant of administration given judicial approval to the personnel representative to administer matters of the estate. A segregate is a substitute, especially a person deputizing for another in a specific role or office when said person is incapable of disposing of anything or participating in any contracts, mentally incompetent. So mentally incompetent versus knowing how to administrate an estate. We want to keep, like I said earlier, our estate jurisdictionalized. So it's not in the jurisdiction of probate court. Article 22. We declare, so what am Article 22 of what? What am I reading? Christian Black Codes. Article 22, Christian Black Codes. We declare that slaves have no right of any kind of property, but that all that they acquire either by their own industry or by the ability of others, or by any other means of title whatsoever, shall be the full property of their masters. And the children of said slaves, their fathers, their mothers, their kindred, or other relation, either free or slave, shall have no pretensions or claim thereto, either through testamentary, nor positions, or donations, inter vivos, which dispositions and donations we declare null and void, and also whatever promise they may have entered into by persons incapable of disposing of anything and or participating in any contract. All right, so they're even saying if you identify as black, Negro, colored, you fall under the jurisdiction of the Christian Black Codes, you can't even contract. You can't even contract. You can't enter into a contract, right? Because when you start getting into contract law, what makes a contract not valid? What's one of the things that make a contract not valid? Entering into a contract with a minor. A minority, a person of unsound mind, incompetent, does not know law. You don't know what they're doing to you. No culture, no basic fundamentals on how to be an adult in the world as far as handling your affairs, the importance of community, no allegiance to anything. For all these reasons, you can't contract. The European colonial occupiers of Morocco, now fraudulently misnomer the United States or the United States of America Incorporated, Inc., have via its agents and board of directors doing business as U.S. Congress. So the DBA is U.S. Congress. The DBA sounds like a governmental position or governmental cabinet, but that's just the DBA. It's a board of directors that are doing business as U.S. Congress, the United States of America Incorporated, in name only, to be administered by the Board of Governors. So just like any other corporation has board members have voting power to decide what's going on in that corporation. That makes sense. So now that you know there's a corporation, why would you think that your vote count if you're not part of their board? Doing business as the Electoral College. Why would you think your vote count if you don't belong, if you're not on the board? And people with common sense know this. And since they know you don't know this, and you think your vote count, you are the minority. They got you. They're like, okay, they fell for that. They just incompetent. They ain't got no communities. They don't know law. They think we their friend. We got them. Let's feed on them. Right. Board of Governors, being the executive fiduciary of each corporate state, converted all human life into energy via the birth certificate, to which they can draw from that energy at any moment via legal process, making claim to all assets, labors, hereditaments, inheritances, and the like via the birth certificate. In the Cester v. Trust, established in 1580 by Henry VIII of England after the fall of the Alhambra, or the Red House, the Moorish Emirate in Andalusia in 1492 Spain, and refined by Charles II in 1666. The Cester KV Trust is what the birth certificate is placed in, to which all assets, property, labor, estate, etc., of the natural person, human being, is converted into corporate assets via their legal process. Enforcement of the Codes Noir, or in America, Christian Black Codes, also known as the Christian Black Codes. The reason I'm saying so Codes Noir, because this began in France. This caste system, or not caste system, well, yeah, caste system, for people, stateless people, it began over there, then they came over here when they started colonizing the lands over here with the same, practices. You fall under a certain law if you don't know your culture and history, right? Because you don't belong to a nation no more. You're kind of floating in the middle. So you become a corporate ward. You become a ward of the state. You become chattel property. That's what you become for lack of unity, lack of knowing your culture, no
Can I,
community.
oh, my bad.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, go
guys.
ahead. Go ahead, Brian. You got it.
I just wanted to ask about the idea of color of law. I'm pretty sure that's referring to a deeper notion, how you were talking about how white refers to a status and black refers to a status. How deep does color of law go?
Color of law is a law that's artificial, so it looks the part. So yeah. So basically, when I said doing business as Congress or doing business as whatever, they're doing business as a governmental position. So United States of America Incorporated. Most people think the United States is a government in the sense of it's a national government, like a nation, as if it's a
Yeah.
nationality of people. But it's a corporate, like Walmart. So it's a corporate construct. Because remember, corporations are created by people that have nationalities. People that have nationalities create corporations, right? So that's a whole nother level. Like, okay, who's the nationality is people that created this? What's going on here? Then you're gonna see, oh, it's all, you know, EU, European Union, you know, Britain, Rome, it's all connected to that. And you're gonna see like, okay, they really the people behind the scene that's running this corporation over here in America. Um, but that's that's
Because
that's
I'm
a whole.
unsure of the exact date. Oh, my bad.
No, I
Of
was just saying I kind of went
the
broad. I kind of went broad because originally I know you had a certain question about um color of law. So before I kind of drifted off, an
hmm.
example of color of law would be how they're doing business as Congress, doing business as the as a electoral college, right? Because since they're doing business as a governmental name, people deal with them as if they're government, right? So now you think your vote counts. That I want to talk about color of law,
Mm.
what that is. That's an example of color of law. For example, you go to a courtroom and they say, "Oh, I'm Judge Fred Johnson," but in order to be a judge, that means you were properly delegated right? And since it's not the Supreme Court, if it happens not to be the Supreme Court, you'd be like, oh, where's your delegation of authority from Congress that gave you the go ahead to be a judge right here, right? Because that's what it takes to be a judge.
Mm.
If he doesn't produce those credentials, that means he's not really a judge. He's just saying he's a judge. Now that's color of law. He looks the part. He got the robes, the flags behind him. He got the podium. He got the clerks behind him. It looks like court, right?
But it's not.
It's not.
I like to add, like,
He's an administrator, right? A judge is an administrator. Is not really a judge. There hasn't been a judge elected since the 1700s. Correct, Moff?
He's an administrator, a magistrate. Yep. Administrative clerk.
an example of color of law is like anybody got like small cousins that are like 3 years old. Like Mafia has a son, right? And let's say Mafia got an Xbox, and his son is like really want to play, but he don't know how to play. So Mafia is gonna give him the mug controller, but he's not gonna plug it up to the source, which is the PlayStation. Color of law is like not having your PlayStation plugged up to the source, which would be the Constitution. So let's say Nobudraw Ali got a PlayStation, and he's like, "Hey guys, come play," and here's your nationality, which would be your controller to plug up to the source. 14th Amendment is them actually giving you, okay, here's the court, go ahead, because you don't understand law. They're not going to teach you. Mafia's son doesn't know the application of a game yet. So then he's going to, not saying he's going to take advantage, but he's like going to take advantage of him not knowing. So them taking advantage of us not knowing law is them giving us a 14th Amendment, which resembles law, like having your remote controller resembling being plugged up to the PlayStation, but it's not. Because you're a little child, you're like, oh, I'm playing. And you're like, oh, yeah, go ahead. Boom, boom, yeah, but you're not really playing. Like we go, and you're like, what do you mean I'm not free? I get to go to the store. I get to do this, but it's under a color of law. Like, it seems like we're free. It seems like we get to go out and do all this stuff, but it's under, like, false pretenses. That's what color of law is, just a symbol of something, like a color, just describes something. So the 14th Amendment is just a color of actual law, which is the Constitution, which comes with a nationality. That's why in the divine warning, like, hey, come hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, not a 14th Amendment, because they're not necessary. Like, Nobudraw Ali is plugging up our PlayStation cords to the PlayStation, while they're just keeping our cord on the floor telling us we're playing, and we're not. But I just wanted to kind of explain it that way, if that helps.
No, that's actually brilliant. That was a brilliant way of saying it, because
Brother, I like
when you're
that.
talking about, like, minority, minor is like a child, and it makes sense if that's the way they're looking at it. The one thing that still is unclear in my mind is that, can we also use color of law in our benefit as well, or is it only a one-sided game?
Because color of law is the practice that deludes to slavery. Like, we're under forced servitude under false names. So it'll be like us doing the same thing being done to them. Like, that's what we did. We created, people, misclassified them and had them under our thumbprint. And that's what the 14th Amendment does for us. So, no, it's very imperative that we don't use the 14th Amendment. Like Brother Cujo is, like, always on everybody's says about, like, no, we not black. Why? Because you're going to get abused, But once again, we don't understand law, and, these things happen to us, and be like, why is that happening to us? We voted in the 17 or 1900s and blah, 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 and, all this stuff that makes it seem like we're getting help, but we're not. So just to reel it back in, like, no, it's imperative we don't use color of law, because color of law is the practice of slavery, which, Nobudraw Ali came to get us out of mentally. So the 14th Amendment mentally puts us in a forced servitude mindset and not who we actually are.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
Right.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Islam.
Wow. Anybody else have any thoughts for our continue?
That was
last
beautiful.
thing. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just making a comment. I thought that was a great analogy. Great job.
As I'm preaching. Thanks for listening as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So the corporate body is basically dead, meaning that it's not alive. And for a government to be real, it has to be made of the living body of living constituents. So we're a living, technically a living government, right? In some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, we have you know, humans have the ability to create republic form of government amongst their national peers
Right.
for the administration of operation, right?
Ordering.
Secretary order, yeah, to have order, right? We need people to do certain things to make the society run and flourish, and we need people that are committed to that, right? So now we have organization, we have an order, right? Um,
So our
that's
place in the corporate system as of now is like a dead slave, right?
We
If
don't
you're
have
if
a
you're
place in the
in that
corporate system.
position.
We don't have a place in the corporate system at all. We're trying to
No,
get
if you
out.
have your false name. For me, for example, would
Okay.
be an example.
are you saying
So
you talking
what
about
would
the
I be to the system?
A
Because they said
slave.
your birth certificate can summon your energy through a legal process, which is true. If they summon me from a legal process, I have to go or you deal with them on their turf, so to speak. So what am
no,
I to them in this corporate system?
it's
An
two it's
employee?
yeah, it's two things. It's twofold. One, they're getting credit on these type of things, like that back bonds and stuff like that, that they shop globally. That's one. Two, they got your energy. The fact that, you're gonna pay certain things like you know, taxes, registration, federal, state, whatever, or whatever comes out people's check normally. Um, they're banking on these things, right? Because let's look at you park somewhere where it's a sign, and now you have a fee of $300 ticket.
Real,
That
that's so
goes
real.
that goes to the city of something.
Right.
The city of something, right? When you look up the charter of that city of something,
It's incorporated.
right, you're gonna see it's a municipal corporation doing business as all caps the city of something. So it's some human beings, right, that created a corporation, and they called it something that, oh, they call it the city of this. Oh, so now I'm traveling through the city of this. I'm traveling through this corporation, right? They create but the thing is, they got the whole script though. They got the hospitals, they got the police, they got people to, they contract with people to get the trash taken out. Since we're not doing that, that's the thing. Even though it's a colorable thing, the fact that we're not doing that, it looks like government because the people, we're not doing it. We're not
Right.
organized.
I was gonna ask, where's the real city at?
Exactly. We sleep. We think we black Negro color. We just spray painting on the city. We spray painting on our land, right? We got gang members just spray painting. That's what we doing. That's the organization we got. Or we got people that's just exclusively in religion, and then they go home 5 days out the week. They back on the same behavior, and it's right. It's all type of reasons why we sleep, right? All right, we just
Damn,
want
this
to
is
be
deep.
right. We want to go play pro ball. We
Right,
have
because
we
they
have
do the business under a government structures or an institution's name, and then they perform the functions of giving order. So it looks like, wow, okay, this is. I have an analogy for you. Have you seen Plato's Cave? I'll put it in the chat what it looked like.
it's put in the
So
chat,
I can
man.
see that. I
It's long. And peace and love to brother Justin Bay. Peace and
Peace
love,
and
man.
love. Peace and love. Peace and love, everyone. Islam.
I was gonna say too, like, they're just demonstrating as well. They're demonstrating because we don't know. So we're just looking at them like, oh, okay, that's how you guys run. This is how we run government, but they're really not running government like that. We're just following
So,
along.
Question to that: what would be the real government? Is if they're pretending to be government and we're paying these fees to a false government? What would be the real?
It will
the
be
central
If there
banks,
is.
The
Yeah, the
central
institution.
banks.
Well, I think you coming
The
from
institution.
yeah, that'll be institutions that we create. So, for example,
Okay.
if we have our own treasury,
hmm
why would we pay tax to the IRS?
Right.
Right?
Okay. The
We,
institutions that we create. Okay. Like Little
yeah,
Mauritania, like you were saying, like that. That would be the
yeah,
government structure, the government body that we created.
we still pay
So they
taxes.
okay.
We still gonna pay
Okay.
taxes, but to our own because
To
now
yourself.
there is because the whole thing was no taxation without representation.
No
Now it
taxation
is.
without representation. Okay.
Yeah, now it is representation because now you're paying taxes to a national government, people of your same nationality, and now that money is going to be utilized to do whatever the people are saying they want it to be utilized for. Like you have a
And
say
you
in it.
actually see where that money's going to because it's going towards your
Yeah,
community and yourself.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And people gonna have a collective opinion or overtone about okay, yeah, we've been paying these taxes, so certain, right? And that, so now, of course, we're talking about thousands of people on the same page. So
Right.
now
Right.
we have money to clean up our own streets. The trash department, cause remember that stuff still has to take place. We have to clean the
Right.
streets. Things got to get cleaned, right? We got to
Right.
have water and irrigation. Make sure people tapped in. People
Right.
falling out. We got to come with ambulances and
Ambulance,
emergency teams.
hospitals, schools.
Are we ready for that? Are we ready for all that? Do we got grocery stores?
At this moment, no.
All right. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why we inactive and the color is winning.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. Talking shit, man.
Right. So
So do you think the all of these municipal corporations are ran by the like a small few? Is it really like what they said, the 1%, 2%? Like
yeah, it's the small families, and we filling up their slush funds. Every ticket that we get on any level, our registration from DMV is going to people that created corporations. The city of this, the city of that. It's just human beings, families that own these things. So we making them rich. But what do they have? They had a police department. We outgunned, right? They got enforcement. They got municipal enforcement. So the
strong
laws
arming
that
us in a sense. Once you learn it, they strong arming you. Like
exactly that's exactly what's going on.
We are
yeah.
divided. I feel like divided we are, but together we a problem. You know what I mean?
But
Mhm.
to add to that, that's what makes sense why they don't want us to come together. Why they don't want
Yeah.
no unity in no kind of way.
Yeah, if all our cultures came together, it'd be bad. You know what I'm saying? It'd be
They'd be broke.
major problem. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
The key part, brother, it takes bread to do all these big moves we trying to do. And the powers that be know that. That's why, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Sheik Empress, they doing due diligent and crazy work to try to get grants and stuff, but they holding us back. We got all the formula, we got all the tools. So what we need to do is sit in this dojo and get this little Morristown in California popping, man, so we can really make moves. Right now we just training, you know what I'm saying? We gaining language, we studying, and I just feel like this is gonna be a beautiful thing when it comes together. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta come together. We gotta get us a spot, we gotta get us some land and start looking like how we talking. You feel me? Walking how you talking. You heard?
Yes, sir.
That's a fact.
My
So,
bad. Oh, go ahead.
It's a very strategic game. I mean, that's what I'm learning, man. As I dig deeper and deeper, it's a very strategic game. And they got the wordplay and the paperwork down packed. So we got to play their game and get our wordplay and paperwork down, and then we good. You know what I'm saying? But we all got to come together collectively. We all got to be in the same area, can touch each other, whatever the case may be, man. That's how things are gonna get popping, and we might got to put a little more personal money together to get something popping, man. It's we all we got. You know what I'm saying? Until we can get the funding we need, whatever company, whatever entity, whatever person wants to donate to our cause and see that we doing what we're doing out here. You know what I'm saying? We got to move slow, man. So
It's
I yield the floor on
definitely
that.
a long game, like you're saying. I agree with that. It's it's the long game. It's nothing short. Nothing gonna be done overnight.
Exactly. Just think the Most High that our Sheik ain't no fraudulent type dude, bro. Because you got a lot of cats that got a lot of knowledge, and all they doing is taking the money, driving the cars and all that, and everybody looking stupid. You know what I'm saying? 2-3 years later, everybody's still like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. You feel me? So we blessed on that. We're fortunate on that part. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
That's your mommy too.
And you know the man about business. He young, bro. Like, how many people his age you see walking the way he walk at that age? Motherfucker, excuse me, people turning up and in the street. You know what I'm saying? Mafia young. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Real quick, I was gonna say the only industry bigger right now, because I sold cars for Chevy for 10 years. I made them $4 million in 4 years. First 4 years I was there. The only industry bigger than weed right now is agriculture, actual food, growing regular food, because all our food is obviously polluted. So we get the land, start growing food, corn, vegetables, regular food. I'm from the Bay Area. It's one of the biggest. I got the triangle out there where everyone's growing trees. The biggest supply of money right there is coming from just regular food right now. So we get some property, start growing some food, we can get a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
A lot of money. Fire.
You know me?
That's fire.
Yeah.
And that's the direction we're trying to go, like we talked about last week. You know, once these auctions that are coming around, maybe in the spring, it'll give us a chance to do some think tanking, because me and 9L, we kind of last summer was investigating. So we got, we want to share some information. Everybody can be on the same page about logistics and how things work, as far as looking up things at the county clerk's office, as far as, land and different type of zoning, and what do we want to, just get land? What do we want to do after we get it? We want to get some manufactured houses, want to farm and do that, what area? So it's, it's just some things we got to iron out, but it's all feasible. It's all feasible. When it's a collective of us doing it, we just pull the trigger on it. But we trended towards that. You know what I mean? We see that's what it's about. Oh yeah. Okay, now I'll put that in the chat. We're gonna do a little exercise for the winter solstice. Okay, so let me continue here. Where I leave off at. All right, so birth certificate is a creation of a thing, and that thing is given the all capital letters name of straw man, artificial person, being a homonym that looks and sounds like our name, but it is not. And it's back to the DBA. It sounds and looks. They call it a governmental agency, right? Same thing, principle. It looks like your name, but it's not. That's not you. It's a corp, right? Considering another human cannot transact business in another man's name and be honorable, the all capital letter name is an example of John Doe, distinguished from John Doe spelled correctly. European family names, otherwise known at law as Christian names, have been placed on us to keep us in dishonor and to convert all the wealth we generate within that name over to their family trust. So now we talk back to that trust thing, right? So when you're dealing with the law of nations, everybody deals in trust. All things get passed down. It's all about estates, estate. So this nationality and learning our culture, is hand in hand with trust law. Community trusts. So the root word of birth from the Proto-Indo-European word bertho or bur, to carry, bearing, bring forth, give birth, to produce, to endure without resistance, to support, hold up, to wear. In reference to maritime law dealing with vessels or ships, docking, anchoring, or mooring, to a port. So now we see it's a stamping of
It's so
property basically.
evil.
You know, they got they got the title to you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I may have missed it earlier. But just the can you define a state for me? It's I know it's different from state or could you clarify that for me? Like a state?
An estate is your wealth that you generate in your lifetime. Yeah, things you accumulated in your lifetime that are yours. You know, whether it be land,
Or your
house,
property or
property, belongings. Yeah. It's only in the state when you organize what you want to do with it for the future. Like if you got specific instructions on what you want to do with the things you accumulated in your lifetime, you got specific instructions where you want those things to go. You just created an estate. In summary, I just summarized. Of course, a little more to that, but that's basically what it is. You know what I mean?
so if you're using your property in some sort of will or your trust, that's an estate.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If you say all my belongings, they're gonna go to my son. If my son does this and this and this, he's qualified to inherit this. You just created an
An
estate.
estate or
Yeah.
okay. Okay. The estate is like the noun. It's the items more so.
Yeah. 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 The items.
Okay. Okay. I thought it had to do with us as a
Wait,
as
I
a
was gonna say,
group
can
as
you
well. Or
like
I could be
writing that
confusing it.
down? Yeah, right
um,
there.
yeah, an estate is just, yeah, the wealth that's created in your family or the community, right? The community can have an estate too. But what makes it
Mhm.
an estate is that you're structured. You know, for example,
The structure of it.
if we see it property and then we collectively, let's say, for example, this is a real example that it looks like it's gonna happen. We go down to the county clerk's office and we bid on a property that got reverted back because they didn't pay their property taxes or whatever. But we bid on it for very cheap. We all
Mhm.
come together, right? Bam. So now when they on the deed, the deed or the title, it's gonna say the
Mhm.
name of the temple. It's gonna say the name of the temple, right? So that action that
Right.
takes place is going to get recorded at the county clerk's office at the city hall level of wherever that property is at, right? So it's going to be on public record that the temple owned that particular piece of property.
Uh-huh.
Now that's the public. The public sees the deed. Internally, when they look, oh, Khalifa Society, oh, it's a trust. It's a trust organization. And the purpose of all property is for the benefit of the people in the temple, essentially.
Right.
Right. So that's how we're creating the Moorish dominions now. It may be small at first, but as we keep buying property, now we're creating a bigger jurisdiction.
Right.
Right. And
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we do,
I can see that.
and look, and so the other thing, Moors have a culture. We have a religion. We have a way of life. Right. So that's protected in the
Mhm.
Constitution as well under the First Amendment. Right. These are religious grounds. These are sacred grounds.
Okay. So any estate or any property that you have, or if it like you saying a house or a home, this makes this religious grounds.
Right. Yeah.
Dang.
If the parties of the trust are Moors in your
All
trust indenture is because the trust has a certain jurisdiction too, based on the language. If right, that's what some people trust. Most people that have a trust, if they really don't even really have a trust like that, because the language is in there. They're saying like under the
kind of
law.
broke up on me.
What about now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so it just depends on the language in your trust, essentially. Like as long as you're not using words like this trust is in harmony with the laws of the state of California or whatever the case may be, as long as you're using international verbiage, as far as we're regulating the authority of your trust, right? Our holy books, different treaties, inheritance laws of our ancient people, as long as you're keeping it like that, now you have a
Keeping it
jurisdiction
private,
where,
right?
yeah, it's a private. You want it to be private.
Yeah, I'm learning a little bit about that right now. Well, as well as you telling me, but I've been learning that.
Yeah, man.
I
So
got
yeah,
a question, Marcus.
okay.
Hello?
You got it. Go ahead, brother Hassan. Can you hear me?
So yeah, I hear you, brother. So as far as what we're talking about right now, could you kind of clarify for me? Like, I've been doing a little research, and so the United States has sold like different infrastructures to different countries. So say like you're starting a truck, you buy some land, like all this what we're talking about right now, but that land is part of an infrastructure that has previously been sold to another country. Everything y'all saying still stand as far as us having that land and being sacred and things of that nature for us, or is there going to be a discrepancy because that part of that land was part of the infrastructure that was sold previously to another country?
That will be on the record. Like it will be a chain of title of that, for one. And then for two, that's why I say as levels, because for example, if I gave this example before, if all of Compton and Watts, people that thought there was a black Latino, woke up tomorrow, now we're talking about tens and thousands, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people organized and decided to have land under their jurisdiction. Now we're talking about defending it. It's going to get defended, right? It's going to get, that's the next level. So it's two things. On a small baby level, any type of parcels, put it in trust. And how Chinatown, Koreatown even got developed is like that. It's like the block. They living next to each other. They got businesses on one parcel, another business next to that business, and then as the years went on, it's like they got a nice little radius now.
What is a parcel, if you don't mind?
Basically a piece of land or a square of land.
Okay.
That's latitude, longitude, area of land.
Does a certain amount make a parcel, or is it, or just it's just a piece of land, or like, you know what I mean? Is it 3 acres more, or
It's just a measuring.
does that make sense? Or
I know what you're saying.
okay.
So if it was 3 acres, then that whole zone would be your parcel, if that makes sense.
Okay. My
That'll be
land. Okay.
that'll be your parcel of land would be yeah. So it's just a measurement, a land
Of
measurement.
of
Yeah,
land.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Parts and parts. Is that what he said when he said parts and parcel, or in
Yeah.
the
Divine
okay.
warning.
Yeah, in the divine one?
Yeah, part and parcel.
Part and parcel.
Yeah.
Part.
And you might have came after we did the demonstration because we was like doing a warning, like you might go to some temples where it say part and partial. So now that we're talking about this, if you
So
ever
so
see
they're
that,
two different things then.
yeah, but it's one document called Divine Constitution and Bylaws by Noble Drew Ali. But certain temples it says, it's a part and partial, right? So we just need to know that, so when we see it, be like, oh, okay, now I know why it's a schism, or so but yeah, so it makes more
So is
sense.
one of them fraudulent?
Yeah, part and parcel would be the original intention that Noble Drew Ali was trying to express. Part and parcel. Because now
Part and parcel.
it make more sense, right? Because you're talking about land tied to the land. Most of us in here, we already know that the Moors are the indigenous people of the Americas,
Of the land.
of the land,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
land claims and things like that by the community. not just one person, like land claims by a community of people that know the law. Because, like I said, at this point, they didn't gave us alley hoops. Like, like even though these people was against us and things like that, it's back to that karmic debt thing. Like, for example, when Obama was in office, he pretty much talked about the rights of indigenous people, like in depth way. And after he did that speech, all of a sudden there's 9 mayor's offices that have proclamations talking about Moorish Americans are indigenous to North, Central, and South America. Since our people are on the low vibrational activity they're on, they didn't even know that took place like that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? So like they don't publicize it because they know we sleep. So it's like, oh, we told them. But it's enough things that if we did actually unify for real, we can take these things that they been put in place to support why we need this land over here. Pursuant to the rights of indigenous people, they say, oh, you're deemed to help us get our communities up and running, actually.
Right.
That's what the rights of, you know what I'm saying? But back to living together, back to Noble Joe Ali and Oscar the Priest getting the mayor, getting Moorish mayors elected to make sure the politics is ran smooth for the Moors in Chicago. It's back to that. There needs to be a lot of us on the same page in concentrated pocket areas. Right. Because that's how I work. Other than that, we're gonna get bullied on that level. If we're talking, it's just levels, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we have to slowly get there and tactfully get there. Everything ain't gotta be like rah rah. Like I say, by strategic things that we do and relationships that we establish with people, next thing you know, we just up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we super emotional, super.
Yeah.
Get us out of our comfort zone real quick.
You gotta stay the course.
Yeah.
Stay the course, man.
Yeah.
You know, because even with it's just so much potential, man. You know, I'll just leave it at that. It's potential about what we're doing. We just have to show some sincerity and consistency. And if people just see that we are doing that, that's all people be sitting back observing.
They wait.
They waiting to see, okay, is they serious or not? You know, I'm telling you.
Because I believe it. I believe the information. I believe in, I see the vision and what you speak of. And it's like I feel like it's everybody's. And when I say everybody, the people, they're all kind of scattered and going different ways. Like, oh, I'm working on this, working on that, instead of collectively, like other cultures do, collectively going this route, and then kind of, working on themselves, or like it's like so many, like you said, so many levels that we need to work on. Because for everybody to work together, we have to even have that type of composure with ourselves and each other, and we don't even have that. It's like. And it's not to be it's just a realization of what we're dealing with, not to be down about it, but it's, it's just being aware.
It's a tough situation, brother. I feel you.
Yeah. But I definitely believe in it, and, it can be done. Because as you say, we've started all these structures already, but we just got, rocked off the, off the plan and off of what we do or how we are.
Correct. That's why, you know what I'm saying, for some of us, the foundation is spirituality, getting your spiritual self right. So that last session we had last Sunday, you need to go on YouTube and rewatch that and listen to it, because that book that Mafi was referencing from, The Perfect Matrimony, I listened to the audio book. I got it coming in the mail. Like, that's a deep book, man, and it's like it starts with you. You got to get your whole train of thought different, your soul different, your mind different, and then once that happens, brother, then it's like when you congregate yourself around people of that same like mind, you feel me, that same way of living, that's when everything will come together, man. Because we all, You know what I'm saying? I'm talking, well, I'm gonna say for myself, more science is new for me. You know what I'm saying? I've always saw the 5%ers, I've always saw different stuff back home, you know what I'm saying? But I never embraced it. You know what I'm saying? And more science is more about just knowing civics, man. It's like changing your whole way of thinking and your whole anatomy internally, bro. And that's
Yeah,
the hard part. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's
it's
the
fun.
hard. That's the foundation. Once you get your inside right, everything will reflect on the outside.
That's true. I definitely believe it. You have to be the change that you want to see.
Word. Correct. See, we always get information, and then us brothers that's real gun ho, we go out there and be like blah blah bloom bloom bloom, but we not looking at the fact that them people we talking to, they not on the same wavelength.
True.
And I yield the floor.
Yeah, man, Islam. That's what it's about. Brotherhoods and sisterhoods are sacred. This is ancient. Brotherhoods and sisterhoods is an ancient concept. Clans, tribes, like there's power in that. Empires were created based on, you know, consolidations of different clans and stuff like that. Like we when we on the same accord, it's over. It's over. Um, so there's one thing I wanted to show before I go to the next slide. We're dealing with the KKK, right? When you look up the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, you're gonna see once again, like we talked about last week, the Pope sent Inquisitionists, and they had actually these uniforms on. But actually goes deeper than that. These are actually Moorish uniforms, but I won't go into that aspect for today. But
You said
they
those are
think that
Moorish uniforms?
yeah, these are old European Moors used to wear these that type of style, but they're doing it because they think they know they're doing it because they are inquisitionists or conquistadors coming over here raiding the Aboriginal lands. That's why they're wearing it. That's why they think they're, you know what I mean? I'm going a little deeper because everything comes from more science. So it's nothing, they didn't create nothing. They just took and copied and altered and
Exactly.
misrepresented. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But on surface level, they think they just Christian crusaders, right? The KKK got the Christian
Right.
crusader outfit on. So what I wanted to highlight was the fact that let me scroll down. No need to see all these crazy pictures. Oh,
Yeah,
so
that's
when
gonna
we
piss
talk
me off.
yeah,
So what they did with the hat, so what they did with the hats and the outfit mafia is like what Chuck Berry, Elvis did the Chuck Berry type shit. That's what you're saying?
yeah.
I mean, I hate to be funny about it, but that's real.
Wait, this
Elvis
man was
took
an
Chuck
active
Berry
clan
style,
member and they
took
taking
his
his picture
swag
like
and everything,
this.
and got paid.
Yeah. What'd you say, Brian?
This man's an active clan member and they taking his picture like this.
This is color of law. Remember you said color of law earlier?
Yeah.
This is an example of it. He got the flag in the back, got the suit. Oh, that's a
Arms
government, that's a
folded,
politician.
That looks
arms
crazy as
folded like you
oh
got
my
security
God,
behind him.
dude.
We got the
Yeah,
books, got the
bold with it.
bookshelf. See the bookshelf on the right? Oh, he's official.
What the
Right? That's a government personnel.
you can't make this shit up. Excuse my language, but this is
This is,
they
excuse
say
my
the
language,
truth
it's fucked
truth
up.
is stranger than fiction. I never believed that until, I started to really understand what the truth really mean. But
Wow, this is crazy.
so they're
Wow.
posing basically. He's literally posing like, hey,
And you know the crazy part, bro? Like, none of these gangsters and all these gang members that shooting each other go in none of them sundown towns and start get nothing popping.
I think
Nothing.
that's gonna change though.
They
I think
doing all that
that's
stuff
gonna
in their
change.
own hood. They don't go to none of them sundown towns. I didn't even know sundown towns still exist. I didn't even know that.
He
But they
probably
still
killed more people than all of them combined.
exist.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is to show you how we're still colonized, right? All senators, anybody that's you think is a government official, they're part of Masonic lodges in these type of fraternities like the KKK. This guy right here is actually a Klan recruiter, Imperial Wizard. He's a high-ranking member, right? There's another guy. Here's another
Wizard.
one. Right, here's another one. Edward Douglas. He was a chief justice. This is a judge. This is a federal judge.
Oh, no. What the?
This is a federal judge.
Wow.
Hugo Black. Democratic Party. And he's a Catholic priest.
Huh? Oh, we already know the Catholics is the devil anyway, manifested in flesh. So we good on that.
Associate Justice of Supreme Court. So there's another judge. So the judges is Klansmen. Do you think? Let me let the brother back in real quick.
He said the judges is Klansmen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's not a lie.
Yeah.
This is Google.
Wow.
You can Google. They're not hiding it. You can actually Google this stuff. This stuff is not even like hidden. Like, you know what I mean? But so my point is, for our brothers and sisters that come into the movement, there's one or two people and they learn all this law and like, oh, I got to go to play song, I got to register the car, and okay, you know, if you ain't got a community, they're not. These are gatekeepers right here. If you're not looking sincere, you're getting boxed out. They don't care.
So like if it's just you barking on some stuff, then like they gonna look at you like, what? You ain't got no juice. But if it's like 10 or 15 of y'all looking the same, then they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh snap. We got to do, yeah. I get you.
Yeah. And it's a community. Just like Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh. It ain't nothing new under the sun. It's already happening. We just gotta do what everybody else that got know that culture doing. That's it. We're not trying to do nothing new.
Strength in numbers is what more so referencing, because my phone had died, so I missed what you were saying, but it sounded like that's what more so you saying, strength, just the strength in numbers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we super intelligent, so they can't send no agents like, excuse my French, Martin Luther King, and try to act like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. We're not trying to hear that.
Wait, so another thing would be they play both sides. Okay. So another guy, I was always curious why a lot of U.S. officials revered a Klansman. His name is Albert Pike. He wrote something called Morals and Dogma, and based on like I haven't fully digested what he read, but based on what he said, he be saying some very evil stuff, and
he started.
They give him a lot of authority. So I was always curious as to why. But if you look at it, it's like he wasn't talking to us or the people.
No,
He's talking to the shadow government and the people who run the municipalities, right?
Albert Pike was the that evil dude that was the Mason that started the Masonic, like
Morals
that
and
evil
Dogma.
word.
I never understood why, but with your demonstration, it makes sense.
Oh yeah. It's all making sense.
And we in the age of Aquarius, so we gotta act quick and act soon. This age ain't gonna last, but for so long, then you're gonna be in another different age as far as the stars and shit align is concerned. So we really got to get our study on and really get this stuff in our head, man.
Yeah. So the reason we went kind of through that roundabout way is to go back to the trust. The whole thing was a trust, right? So if things are not in trust, then they're gonna be like vampires. They're gonna feed on the wards, the chattel property, people that aren't showing organization. They're gonna feed. If you do have a trust, now things are part of the community's estate. So these are the bullet points on the parties of a trust. So a trust must consist of at minimum two parties, the trustee and the beneficiary. Trust normally consists of three parties, the grantor, which is the creator of the trust, or the creditor, the trustee, which is the administrator of the trust or the debtor, and the beneficiary to the trust, the person whom the trust will be created for the benefit of, typically your children or prosperity. The grantor of the trust may also be the beneficiary, but the beneficiary cannot also be the administrator. In the laws that govern delegation of authority, a trustee cannot exceed their rights or have a higher authority over the owner of the grantor or the executor. The trustee must stay within the original rights expressed in the delegation of authority, which clearly describes which powers can be exercised by the trustee. The trustee can only operate within the limitations of his power. Simple trust breakdown. So, family unit, we got the executor and the grantor, or the grandparents, the administrator, the parents, the beneficiary be the son or daughter. In a government sense, like we the people, the trustees or the elected officials, and the beneficiaries are the people, right? So everything is trust.
Question.
Uh,
Yeah. So it seems like there's so many different types of trust. Does that necessarily matter? Like there's express trust and family trust and all, like, does that matter, or is that just a adjective in front of trust, you know?
yeah, just an adjective. I mean, you got different types of trust, you got land
Okay.
trust, but
But they still hold that power because
yeah,
it's
it's
a trust.
still, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Express, express trust would be in a trust that's expressed by the actions of the people, and it's not necessarily written down. So, for
Mm.
example, back to the nationality and culture, it could just be a handful of us that just say we're gonna do something, just do it.
Mhm.
That's an express. That's an
Okay.
express. That's called an express contract. Like a contract law, it's called an express contract.
Okay.
Right. But if it's written, then this is written form. Um, so a short description: a trust is a relationship whereby property is held by the party for the benefit of another. A trust is created by a settlor who transfers property to a trustee. The trustee holds that property for the trust beneficiaries. Trust exists mainly in common law jurisdictions. So we're talking about common law now. We're not talking about municipal. We're taking it to a broader venue, international law. If you're not dealing with trust in the state, they're going to deal with you as one of their wards under the municipality. As far as back to Christian black codes, property can't own property, right? So once you competent working with your people, know your nationality, culture, you're not looked at as a ward based on a demonstration, right? So a state in common law is the net worth of a person at any point in time, alive or dead. It is the sum of a person's assets, legal rights, interests, entitlements to property of any kind, less of all liabilities at the time. So a state, the interest which one has in land or in any other subject of property. And the state and lands, tenements, hereditaments. So hereditaments is bloodline. You have bloodline inheritance. You have rights because you're the son of somebody, you're the daughter of somebody. Same thing with whenever we had emperors. Typically, the son of we have a prince. You already knew. Oh, that's the prince. The son is next to be in power. That's ancient. This is ancient culture, bloodline, right? So we want to get back to that. That's all trust law. All that's trust law, right? Sultan, prince, that's trust law. But the prince needs to be competent to run the operation, right? Competent, because once he loses competent on how to run the show, now everything dissolves, right? Everything dissolves, and whoever is organized can come. A foreigner can come over and just take over now, because the
A lot of
people.
empires have failed. I mean, a lot of empires have failed just like that, just how you described. An incompetent prince will be in charge of the father's big nation, or a big war will occur right when the father dies, and they'll be incompetent to lead it. And then, like an uncle will come in, or a foreign power will come in, institute their laws, and take over. A lot of examples would be like Lion King, or even Alexander the Great. That's a good example of going right, but it could have went really bad for him.
Yeah. Yep. So in another sense, a state designates the property, real or personal, in which one has a right or interest, the subject matter of ownership, the corpus of property. Thus, we speak of a valuable estate, all my estate, separate estate, trust estate, etc. This also is its meaning in the classification of property into real estate and personal estate. And this is a case law to support that. So this case law right here, it was ruled upon on a state, on what an estate is. The word estate is a word of the greatest extension and comprehends every species of property, real and personal, and describes both the corpus and the extent of interest. It's another case law, Deering versus Tucker. It was ruled upon on what an estate is. So now the reason we're going over the case law, because now that takes to another level. We have treaties, we got documents from the mayor's office, and we have the actual document of rights of indigenous people, and just contract law in itself, which is trust law, dealing with the law of estates. So whenever we organize, and like I said, the temple owns property, that means that a community of a nationality of people own property for the benefit of their people. Now it's in its own jurisdiction. It can get passed down. The probate court is not involved in that. We just have to administrate it like any other government do. We got to have treasurer. We got to have people that know how to heal, right? We need people that know how to mow the lawn. We need construction workers. We just have to do that for ourselves in an organized way, right? So another case law, Black versus Savannah Producing Company. It was an estate comprehends everything a man owned, real and personal, and ought riot to be limited in construction unless connected with some other word, which must necessarily have that effect. So it's a plethora of case law. I'm not gonna read all these case laws, but it's not new what an estate is. The main thing is that you're competent to administrate the estate and keep your heirs that are coming after you competent on how to keep it going. That's really what's important. So what is competence? Competence determines your political status, concerns the mental capacity of an individual to participate in legal proceedings or transactions. So this is an example. You go to court, you can't talk. The bar member got to talk. You can't say nothing. Once you speak, you're in contempt, right? As the ward. When you go in there as the Moor, there's no bar member. You're speaking for yourself. Or if you're with a body of people, you're speaking as counsel for the body or for the temple. Now it's a whole different situation. So that's two different statuses. And I'm saying this from experience because I've went into the court and they bluffed me out and was like, "Oh, are you a bar member?" Because I was counsel for another Moor. They was like, "Are you a bar member?" I was like, "No, I'm counsel pursuant to the treaty that we have." And then it was nothing else. We just go continue. We just got past that. It was real swift, right? So competence, all that competence just means what you know or don't know. Based on that, they're gonna proceed with you a certain way. So concerns the mental capacity of an individual to participate in legal proceedings or transactions. And the mental condition of a person must have to be responsible for his or her decisions or acts. Competence is an attribute that is decision specific. Depending on various factors, which typically revolve around mental function, integrity, an individual may or may not be competent to make a particular medical decision, for example, a particular contractual agreement, to execute an effective deed to real property, or to execute a will. having certain terms. Depending on the state, a guardian or conservator may be appointed by a court for a person who satisfies the state's tests for general incompetence. And the guardian or conservator exercise the incompetence rights for the incompetent. Defendants who do not possess sufficient competence are usually excluded from criminal prosecution, while witnesses found not to possess requisite competence cannot testify. So back to what I said earlier, you're deemed incompetent if you got the bar member in the first place. Once you hire the lawyer, once you hire the bar member, you already looked at as incompetent. So therefore, you can't even speak. They're gonna look at the bar member and say, make sure he doesn't talk no more. Talk to your client. Right? You can't talk. All right. So you might as well go in there and just know law so you can talk. Right? Exactly. They're on the same team. The bar member, yes. The person you think is the judge and the bar member, they're both bar members. Both of them are active bar members. So that's a conflict of interest anyway. That's a conflict of interest. They both active bar members. They're part of the same club. How you gonna get a fair adjudication? Right. All right. So this is just a little test at the end. Y'all can kind of look
That's
at
a
that.
cold okie doke. Sorry, Islam. But that's a cold okie doke. How they got you paying thousands of dollars for this lawyer, this bar member, and they all just in cahoots though.
Yeah. Yep.
That's foul.
Yeah.
We knew that though. We know they all working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man. That's
it's cold world.
I would say now I do, but before I believe, like, you know, with these trials that you see, you know, I guess you say TV trials. What's that popular lawyer that got OJ off, and you know all of these people, like, but it's like all the shows seem like a, you know, just a basketball game we watch.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny Cochran.
Like, yeah, Johnny Cochran. You know.
Yeah. It's a show, man.
These police beat up my homie in the Bay Area, and he got Johnny Cochran, sued the mess out of him. So he do his thing. But you know, majority of the time, like this, he said they in cahoots. You know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But even that, even like they'll put people that look like us. So for him to keep winning, he's looked at as that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're gonna let some stuff slide through the cracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And now he serves as a double agent, huh?
Yeah, because we're gonna get the bar member. All the rappers talking about how I got the Jew lawyer, and that's fly. That's considered fly now. Right? You know what I mean? So we need to know law, because we, like I said, what's the acronym of bar member, right? British Attorney Registry. So we back to dealing with colonists. We dealing with colonist foreigners that's coming over here, administrating on the people that don't know themselves. That's why we fill up the jails. There's nothing but blacks and Latinos, especially out here in Cali. You know, the prison on the state level, the federal level, is mostly people that are classified as black and Latino filling these jails up. So these bar members is big business to make sure institutionalize that we keep coming in. You know what I mean? From the fact of the banks, how they redline, dealing with credit, you know, what you qualify for from business loans, like, you know what I mean? It's not really designed to play in that game like that with them. So that's why it's very imperative that we just organize, because organization trumps even that. If you organize, you can trump and finesse the credit game, right? We so organized where we can have one or two members that look polished, and we like, okay, pull the trigger on this, bam. We all bust down the payment on them every month and make a flip. Like, there's so many ways to utilize situation, right? But unity though, is unity, right?
That's what I think Mexicans do for,
Yeah,
they just work together, or and the Asians.
yeah.
Yeah. Facts.
I thought about it when I was young. Um, I looked at all the other cultures, and they have a central language that keeps them together and binds or backs outsiders. So, like, if you wanted to join a community, like say I wanted to join an Arab community, I wouldn't be respected until I learned their language and was able to communicate with them on equal footing. Do you think we could do something similar to that, where our language or we have a sort of boundary that defines us to where if you want to enter the culture, you got to go through that little requisite so that you could, join. Like even Hispanics, if you want to be respected by them, you got to speak a little Espanol, which I do, they
Well,
respect me
that's
for it.
that. I say what you're saying is like a macro, micro level because, um, like for example, Khalifa society, we can decide on anything to be a requisite to be a member, right?
Mhm.
That's just what we decide to do. Um, Now, as far as language, it would help if most of us knew multiple languages. Uh, that's something to strive for. But anything that signifies loyalty to the organization, we can just say that's what it is. It's going to take this. We want to see this from
Okay.
our members. We want to see this level of activity. We want to see this. We want to see outreach. We want to see you displaying that you didn't digest the concepts. You know, and I just still sharp and still. Um, that's all good stuff, you know. Um, but yeah, that's not a bad thing. And I think that happens naturally. Any organization's gonna have a purging. Like if you, especially if you didn't, something got built from the ground up, it start taking off. It's at this grand level now as the years go on. As new members join, the old members are gonna be like, man, these new members just show us that they really down for this. You know, that's just how it works. That's just natural. That's just natural for anything in life. You know,
Okay.
you want to make sure everybody on board. You
Right.
know, some shape, form, or fashion. They got allegiance. You know, um, but yeah. Any other thoughts, statements, questions before we close out with chapter 13?
I had to put I have a thought real quick. Sorry, I just hopped on, been busy, but I wanted to piggyback off of what I think Brian was saying it, and he was saying like when you speak like the native tongue, that people are more comfortable and more willing to like work with you and things like that. And I think with the approach that Mafi is taking on like Khalifa society and uniting people through like the cultural aspect. Yes, language does make you feel more comfortable, like more at home. But I think what we're doing with the history and like with the outreach and everything, that's gonna help close up the gap. Because you are right. I noticed when I was like in school that a lot of like the Asian community would be like real tight, like really really tight. Um, so and they still are even to this day. You know, I have a lot of friends that are like that. So you know what I mean? Like I guess I just wanted to comment on that whole thing. Like as I was taking everything in, I was kind of just connecting everything, to what we're doing and why we're doing it and why it's important. So that's all I wanted to say.
Islam. Yep. And even too, like the diversity, like the more diverse, like Nonel, Vietnamese background, um, Mexican brothers, the more diverse, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like, oh, okay, and everybody got unique networking circles, so it kind of just comes together after a while. We just gotta stay a cohesive unit, keep putting the info out there, stay active, and things take off. You know, um,
Oh, before you leave this space, and we go into more of the spirit matters. Um, so in my school, I'm part of the government there, the Sushistota body there, and they're able to draft resolutions. And one of the students, he's on a committee working with increasing rates for Indian populations, quote unquote Indian. And they're drafting a formal resolution. And I want to work with him on that community in that committee to see what type of things we could do for Moors, increasing more education and maybe their graduation rates and what could be done, to help the culture too. I know that maybe in the right circumstances, uh, some of those treaties can be enforced or added, maybe. But that's a conversation we can have for later.
Yeah. Yeah, most importantly is just the organization and rolling it out, like rolling in demonstration, being invited to be a guest. People that got big following, schools, colleges, doing lives on Instagram. Like I say, people got big following. Like all these things. Now people starting to get wind that we exist. That's all it's about. Like, oh, Khalifa Society exists. This is what they doing. I like it. Now we're growing, right? The members the members, they keep getting tight with the learning, so they can spread the information too. So now it's like we all different angles, like anything. You don't know something exists until you saw the commercial, or you saw, like, I don't care if it's business, I don't care what it is. You gotta promote it. We just promoting culture. We promote unity. We promote we try to, what I mean? It's the same thing. It's still business. Like still a business approach on how you gotta go
Right.
about it. You know what I mean? You got to push it. You gotta push it. You gotta push it. Like I said, we can't save the world, obviously, but it's enough people in the world that we can unify with. And like I said, it's for life. So it's like as the months and years go on, one or two more people, one or two more, you know what I mean? And we can do some great work.
Great
And,
work.
and even the people we're dealing with now, like I said, we plotting and planning on getting some land and testing the auction now. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it's about. We constantly in think tank mode. And now it's just
Jojo.
execution. Yeah, execution now, We in the business of manifesting,
So,
Uh,
I think I missed the first few minutes, but I've actually said a little about the straw hats. I was talking about straw hats, like people. Can you send all these links, right, to our emails afterwards?
the
Or how
recording.
does that work? Or just so I can, go through, like, go over like the session, like that we had and everything, study it a little bit.
Like the
Or
recording
can
or
you
the
send it?
actual document that I'm reading from, or just the whole meeting overall?
Yeah, the document. Actually, you can do both. You can do the document and the recording. I like to just go over them.
Okay.
I've been going over the other ones you sent me as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send you the recording too. I'm not sure if I sent last week. Um, but yeah. Any other thoughts before I read chapter 13 and close out? All right. So we got Yahshua's holy answer to llamas. Now, after they had dined, the guests and Yahshua all were in a spacious hall in Mary's home. And Lama said, "Pray, tell us, Yahshua, is this the dawn of peace? Have we come forth until the time when men will war no more? Are you indeed the Prince of Peace that holy men have said will come?" And Yahshua said, "Peace reigns today. It is the peace of death. A stagnant pool abides in peace. When waters cease to move, they soon are laden with the seeds of death. Corruption dwells in every drop. The living waters always leap and skip about like lambs in spring. The nations are corrupt. They sleep within the arms of death, and they must be aroused before it is too late. In life, we find antagonists at work. Allah sent me here to stir into its depths the water of the sea of life. Peace follows strife. I come to slay this piece of earth. The Prince of Peace must first be the Prince of Strife. Right? So you got to be disciplined, go through a fight, go through a struggle, become victorious. Now you have peace. Same thing when you got winter, you got the storms, you got tornadoes in some areas, gloomy, then you got springtime. Same principle, right? This leaven of truth which I have brought to men will stir the demons up, and nations, cities, families will be at peace with themselves. The five that have been dwelling in a home of peace will be divided not, and two shall war against thee. The son will stand against the sire. The mother and daughter will be contend. The mother and daughter will contend. Yes, strife will reign in every home. Then self and greed and doubt will rage into a fever heat. And then, because of me, the earth will be baptized in human blood. But right is king, and when the smoke is cleared away, the nations will learn war no more. The Prince of Peace will come to reign. Behold, the signs of what I say are in the sky, but men can see them not. When men behold a cloud rise in the west, they say a shower of rain will come, and so it does. And when the wind blows from the south, they say the weather will be hot, and it is so. Lo, men can read the signs of earth and sky, and they cannot discern the signs of the holy breath. But you shall know. The storms of wrath come on. The carnal man will seek a cause to hail you into court and cast you into the prison cells. And when these times shall come, let wisdom guide. Do not resent. Resentment makes more strong the wrath of evil men. There is a little sense of justice and of mercy in the vilest men of earth. By taking heed to what you do and say, and trusting in the guidance of the holy breath or truth, you may inspire this sense to grow. You thus may make the wrath of men praise Allah. And Yahshua went his way and came into the Bashara and taught. So these lessons, I like this next chapter too. But so as you can see, these are principles, ways of thought. What was your thoughts on this chapter? What was your thoughts on this, man? I'm curious to see
I thought it
how
was
y'all.
interesting when it said the son will stand against his sire and the daughter will stand against the mother, because in a lot of homes you see this conflict, especially with mothers and daughters at a certain age. They just seem to bump heads. I don't know. It's usually around the age of like 12, 13 that I've seen it, when the daughters start to really bump heads with their moms. Like, I don't know. As far as the sons and the fathers, I mean, I've always respected my father to the most, the highest level, but you do always see a lot of conflict with fathers and sons as well. It's just interesting to see that written and have it play out in real life, real time, But yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this chapter? I like the peace after the strife. I like it. Reminded me of the storm. After the storm is it's the rainbows and clear skies. That's what that reminded me of. Having to go through something, be tested, and then win the battle. You overcame an obstacle, where you had to discipline yourself to do so. I feel like a peace comes after that, you know.
Yeah.
Something that comes to mind with me, like the analogy that you that you gave, as far as like you got to go through something to, like, for your analogy as far as having peace. But like when you said, like, it's like seasons, you know, like, and it very well it's forever, almost like you're gonna go through something, come out of it. So like that, you know, it's almost a fallacy. And I use that word because that's how I thought about it. But like, you know, just to be at peace all the time for the rest of your life, but you're always gonna go through something to get back to peace, war and peace, you know. So that's what kind of come to mind, you know, once you accept that, you know, I think you'll be a lot more at peace with even that.
Yeah. Yeah, Islam. All right. Any other thoughts on that before we close out in prayer
Question
here?
is you think peace is peace happiness? Is that the same thing? Just a personal question. Finding peace, is finding peace finding happiness, or is that two different journeys? You know what I mean?
I think
I think
happiness is a effective peace, you know, but it's not forever. Again, like peace isn't.
Yeah, I'll be
that's interesting.
striving to find both, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Just a
I think they're
personal question.
synonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because typically when you have peace, that brings you great joy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you've been working hard or doing whatever you've been doing. It's like, oh man, I'm at peace. Like typically you're happy
I
about
guess
that.
you're right.
You
I
know what I
guess
mean?
you're right. I guess it depends. I guess I mean like self-actualization, like finding like the highest level of peace to where you like I'm here, I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and,
Yeah.
and I think that's what I meant, as far as like that.
yeah,
That's never ending, you know.
yeah,
It's You're gonna
yeah,
go through, and then you're gonna find that again, and you're gonna have another, just like the seasons come around every year. Or as far as that's what I got from the analogy
yes.
Mafi said, you know. It's
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what? It's always something like you're gonna have a challenge. You're gonna conquer
always.
the challenge. Once you conquer that challenge,
it's
it's gonna be
always gonna
another
be an
challenge.
issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's always
you
gonna
have
be
that peace for a moment, and it comes back
yeah.
to war. You know.
yeah,
But if you
yeah.
run from it, if you run from the challenges, I think you're gonna have a different form of war, or different, you know, like you run from it in the name of peace. That's not even, I don't even know what that is to say, but it don't work that way. I'd say that.
No facts. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a constant evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Evolution, man. Yeah, yeah. To evolve, you gotta see what you made of. You have to
Yeah.
ascend. You got to go through that war, that tug of war, till
Mm-hmm.
you figure it out.
constantly evolving. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But now you're that much you more wise now because you didn't see that before. Now it's like, oh, it's if that gets in front of you again, it's not gonna be so tempting because I mastered that. I'm not even,
Yeah.
you feel me, or whatever the case may be. So
What was that line that you read? It's, I guess it had a reference to death, as far as what Yeshua said. I
um
think it was in the beginning. I was kind of multitasking at the same time, but
oh,
Line number 6.
I'm 6 or 5. Oh,
could you
see
read
it
it?
there?
Because I was just listening. I was folding clothes at the same time.
And
Peace
Yeshua
reigns.
said, "Peace reigns today. It is the peace of death." That's one aspect, and then the other one was line 6.
It's a piece of death.
Where it said, "When the waters cease to move, they soon are laden or stagnant with the seeds of death."
Okay, I think it was the first one, but I thought it was like that's when you're. I got a thought of maybe that's what he meant by that statement, but that's not. No, that's not what he meant, or that's not what I got from it when I heard it again.
Hmm.
Be at rest, or I guess in death, that's when you're at peace, or you should be.
Well, I think line 6 is more about being stagnant is dead. Like in that context, like
Yeah, yeah.
when you say like, oh, it's a movement or the Moorish
Mm.
Divine National Movement, that means it's like it's it got wheels to it. But just inside,
Yeah.
like anything, like it's momentum. You need momentum. You don't want to be at a standstill with anything, or you're gonna be
Has
considered
life
dead.
to it, has a vibration, you know. If it don't have that, like you said, it's
Yeah.
deceased.
It go back to the ants. When you see the ants, and it's like a bunch of them, but it's like an organization. You got it's a line. It's like they get real organized. You know what I mean?
Right. That's real.
Yeah.
Facts, yeah. Especially when
It's
they're
like
hungry.
yeah, they form a whole
Yeah.
line. Like it's a whole line of them, like for like miles. It seems like you know what I mean. So that's just nature. Like I think that's what we're here to be organized. You know, like to see what we can create and stuff like that, man. So we getting back in harmony with nature, man. We're just unifying as brothers and sisters on. That's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody else doing it. It ain't even like I guess what's so mind blowing for me is like, damn, everybody. If you just observe like a scientist, it's observation. Like, oh, all these people that know their culture, they working together, there's businesses, and we don't live. You know what I mean? That's the
We're the
recipe.
only
That's
ones
the
not.
recipe for success. You know what I mean? They're not getting
Yeah.
harassed by the police. It ain't none of that. Like in these certain areas, like it's culture. It's just it's something respectable. These are disciplined people. That's what you want. You want you want to come off like that. These are community of disciplined, cultural people, respectable people. They working together, and yeah. But yeah, hopefully I answered everybody. Hopefully everybody answered questions got answered. Because I know we went from the concept of death and what was meant. Who was that? Was that Justin? Yeah. So how you feel about that, Justin? Uh,
No, you're right. That's why I just heard it, and I think my mind was kind of formulating my own perception of what I heard. But when you read it again, I understand what you said, or your thoughts of it.
okay,
I
okay.
agree with it. Yeah.
All right. Look, close out here. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. Let me stop the recording and just talk about the winter solstice. Let's kind of just talk about that for a little bit while we got everybody on here. Let's see. Let me stop this recording. Where's that? They didn't change up the buttons every week. They change up the configurations. Let's see. Oh, here we go.